Meeting is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. Welcome everyone to the November Committee of the Whole meeting for the Community High School District 94 Board of Education. Mission statement, please.
Community High School will ignite a passion for learning, foster leadership and responsibility, and empower all learners to live their personal best.
Thank you, Rich. Board agreements, please.
Concerns from the community and staff. Board members will listen carefully, remembering they are only hearing one side of the story. Board members will then direct that person to the person in the district most appropriate, following chain of command, who is able to help them resolve their concern. Board members handling concerns in this manner will clarify that one board member has no individual authority to fix a problem. Board members will call the superintendent if they think there is an issue or concern.
Thank you, Lynn. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Here.
Mr. Nagel?
Present.
Mr. Remus?
Present.
Ms. Munoz?
Here.
Ms. Chavez?
Here.
Ms. Murphy?
Present.
All right, that brings us to public participation. This is the portion of our meeting where any member of the public may address the Board of Education on any topic. We welcome your comments and will carefully listen to your concerns. We will not be able to engage in a dialogue during public participation, but when appropriate, we will direct the administration to follow up. Presentations are limited to no more than 5 minutes per person, with a total time limit of 30 minutes for public participation. If you're making public comment, please speak slowly so the translator is able to keep up with you. If you wish to make personal charges or complaints against individual employees, volunteers, or students of the district, we request that you send the board your concerns in writing rather than stating those concerns during public comment. If anyone currently present wishes to make public comment and hasn't already done so, please fill out one of the comment forms in the back of the room and hand it to someone seated at the table. At this point, we received no comment forms and we have received no electronic public comments. So reports and information, teaching, learning, and professional development report.
Good evening. I'm going to begin with the board memo regarding the DEOS meeting from October. There were 4 key action items that occurred. The first was that there was an approval of a contract with HYA as consultants for the DEOS TCD strategic planning that they're just engaging in. Director Fumagalli is going to identify members of a committee for that, determine a timeline for the process, and then conclude that work by May of 2026. There also has been an administrative shift, and there was an appointment of Amy Reed as interim principal of TCD, and she will follow up for this year and then conclude in June of 2026. I have mentioned to you previously that TCD and DEOS are really working on enhancing communication, particularly with Spanish-speaking families. So they did formally approve the family outreach support position. The goal of that is to be able to communicate more frequently and more appropriately with Spanish-speaking parents and guardians. That vacancy will be filled with someone who's already currently in the building, either a certified or a non-certified staff member who is bilingual in Spanish. And the goal for that is really to be able to address student concerns, celebrations, and needs with those families. And then finally, the meeting also included a review of the prior 90 days since both Mike Fumagalli and his colleague are new to that position. So they went through the educational programming work that they're doing, finance, professional development, and regional alignment. In terms of the professional development, that's something new that they're really engaging in, looking at some of the things that we might do with our new faculty, because a lot of the people who are working at TCD are not initially teachers. They go into the public sector and then come back into education. So they're doing a lot of work with that. They're also doing a lot of work in terms of the region. They're really attempting to what the language they use is an ecosystem. So really bringing together all of the 14 schools that are involved and trying to be able to use resources more effectively so that we're able to collaborate. So other than that, the upcoming meeting then will be in November, and then I'll have that report for you in December. And following that, just an update for you on our new professional development committee, as well as our AI technology committee. I know that you've heard a bit about this previously, but we had a half-day session with each of those groups last month, so I did want to update you on that. I think the thing to stress for the Professional Development Committee is that it has two main goals. One is for the faculty who are involved in that to serve as what we call the guiding coalition. So really, the teachers who will have some of the deepest understanding of the professional learning community work that we're doing in order for them to be able to do presentations, to be able to communicate within their own department, some of the things that may be more difficult for faculty to learn as we're doing this new implementation. And then they're also wanting to be very involved in terms of providing additional professional development in areas that we're not able to reach through our traditional late start time, which is devoted to these teams working, or even the Institute Day that we had last week. So they're interested in doing lunch and learns, perhaps providing some professional development after school, really looking at what are the areas of need. And so one of the things they'll be doing after our upcoming meeting is drafting a survey that they're going to share with faculty to see what are the areas of interest and need, and really trying to be able to be part of providing that. So I think that teacher-to-teacher component is something that'll really be a good addition for us. In terms of the AI and technology group, you've seen that we have outlined through the board policy the expectation of being able to draft a plan for the district. So that work is really looking at, our first step was looking at what research is already out there, looking at what other districts have been doing that already have created their own plan, and using that kind of as a springboard. One of the things that I mentioned in the memo is that there's an organization called Teach AI that has created a lot of materials and outlines for districts to be able to use as a source of that work. The DuPage ROE has really had a lot of robust professional development as well. I was able to attend an administrator academy on AI integration. It will be a lengthy, challenging process, but the work that we'll be doing this year is to be able to draft the components that you saw outlined in the memo. And so that will be really looking at what is the policy component, how would we actually implement that? Ultimately, what kind of training will we need to provide for faculty, as well as what will that look like in terms of student integration, which I'm sure a component of that will come through the DEN program. So very grateful for Candy Fickus and Sarah Gill, who are the two faculty members who are facilitating the co-leads for the professional development group. And then for Amy Grabowski, who's our library media specialist, as well as Dave Clark, who's the technology integrationist, who have really just fully jumped in and really are taking a lead on this really important work. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, thank you for that update. That brings us to 2025 tax levy.
4, 6, 7, 8. We're going bad. Okay. Well, thank you. I know you're all excited to hear about the 2025 tax levy.
You always make it exciting.
Hopefully, it's at least informative. I don't know about exciting, but informative. So far, so good. So as we start the fiscal year in July, we see this shows how the budget and the levy are connected in the annual process, and that one can't really happen without the other. So what is a tax levy? The tax levy is the amount of money the district requests to meet our anticipated needs, which includes the salaries, benefits, maintenance, curriculum, and facility needs. So what is the tax rate? The tax rate is the calculation of the total tax levy divided by all the property owners' equalized assessed value. The tax rate is then used to determine levy dollars across all property owners. One of the big questions is about the tax cap and the property tax extension limitation law. So in 1991, the Illinois General Assembly passed the PTEL law, which is better known as the tax cap law. This initially only affected those collar counties around Cook County, but was also extended to Cook County, in 1995. Since then, it has been extended to 39 of the Illinois' 102 counties. And so as noted here, the tax cap does not cap property tax assessments or individual tax bills. It does, however, cap the rate of increase for the government entities and allows for taxes on new property or new construction. So as I just noted, the PTEL limits the increase from year to year to the lesser of 5% or CPI plus new construction. And so if the proposed levy is more than 5%, a truth in taxation hearing would be required. For the 2025 tax levy, we do not have the need for a truth in taxation hearing. To calculate the levy, we need to know 4 things: the prior year levy extension, the consumer price index or CPI, the current year equalized assessed valuation or EAV, and the new property or new construction within our boundaries. So as you can see, we only know 2 of those items. In order to get the best estimates possible, we have inquired with our Wayne and Winfield assessors to get estimates on the new construction and the increase to our EAV, which they have provided. So one of the items that we do know is the CPI, or Consumer Price Index. This is a 10-year history of CPI. So we use the December 2024. So the prior December value is how we make our calculations. And this year that is noted at 2.9%. So even with the past 3 years of higher average CPI, the average over the 10 years is the 3.03%. For September of 2025, CPI is currently at 3%. Expectation that it's going to stay around 3% come December, maybe a little lower. I think the feds would like it to be a little lower, but we'll see if that actually happens. So as I've noted, one of the estimates is the new construction. Overall, you can see that new construction was dramatically increased the past few years, thanks to the development of the technology park, and that we had an over 55 community as well. We knew at some point the new construction would slow down, and so we're starting to see that this last couple of years, that our assessors have said about $10 million for new construction. So as we get into the levy itself, you'll see that I raised that estimate to $15 million, just in case the estimates are off the mark. One of the ways that we estimate the change in EAV is to look at prior years and the trends involved, as well as talking to our local assessors. This chart represents the community's EAV history and its change from year to year. As you can see from the blue bars, the EAV continues to increase at a steady rate, and that change is represented by the red dotted line, which is right underneath 10%. This chart provides the annual increases to the tax levy extensions. With the high CPI and the influx of new construction in the past few years, we see the levy increases surge from 21 to 24, with this year coming back down to a more normal 3%. Reporting fund balances or cash reserves is a required section of the school code when discussing the levy. These are the cash and fund balances as of June 30th of 2025 from our unaudited financial statements. As we know, we don't have our audited financial statements yet. Since we report our balances on the cash basis of accounting, our cash and fund balances are basically the same. Ed fund is estimated at $23.6 million, O&M at $6.3 million, the transportation at $1.1 million. We do have a couple of funds that are over 100%. We have the intent of adjusting the tax levy on some of those, or allocating different funds to try to reduce those funds. For Press Plus and the Illinois School Code 17-1.10, schools are required to present to the board the annual average expenditures of its operational funds for the previous 3 fiscal years at or above the adoption of the tax levy. So if the district's cash balances are 2.5 times larger than the average noted, then a reserve reduction plan would need to be filed. District 94, we do not meet that criteria, as those numbers say 80% is that red line. So we are well below that 2.5 times. So now that we have a little bit of background on what goes into the levy, we'll talk about the current levy request. The request is $33.2 million and is based on that 2.9% increase for CPI and $15 million in new construction. And we also did a small balloon levy for our transportation fund, just in case that, again, that those estimates are off. So this is a requested increase of 4.56% from the prior year extension. So again, a truth and taxation hearing is not required. I do expect the actual extension to be finalized closer to $32.9 million. So we'll break down the calculation a little further. We have the prior year extension, one of the knowns, multiplied by CPI, which is also another known, at 2.9%. So based on CPI, the district's request would be about $923,000. Next, we can calculate the new property or new construction. The assessors provided an estimated $10 million in new construction. Again, to be safe, we move that up to $15 million. So we take the estimated new construction of $15 million times the limiting rate of 1.8572% to get to an additional $278,000 for the tax levy. So putting that all together, and then including the small balloon levy for the transportation fund, we come up with that $33.2 million as the expected 2025 requested extension. Again, for actual receipts, I expect it to be closer to $32.9 million, and then we're also going to have to do a minus of another $750,000 for abatements. So with abatements, I expect it to be around $32.2 million. So speaking of those abatements, so as agreed upon by all the taxing bodies in West Chicago, tax abatements were issued for most of the new construction built in the DuPage Technology Center. For the purpose of the tax levy, we still request the full amount of that new construction, but for the actual receipts, the tax abatements will reduce the extension by about $750,000. So this slide provides an example of how residents' tax bill may increase or decrease depending on the increase of the tax levy and how the assessor evaluates their property. We can see in this example the overall extension for the prior year was $50,000 for taxpayers A, B, C, and D. Then the extension grew by 5% with the same four taxpayers. Taxpayer A actually had a decrease in their tax bill based on the assessor's evaluation, while the other taxpayers had to take a larger portion. So in this example, we have a 5% increase in the tax levy, but each taxpayer's portion of their tax bill didn't change by 5%. Again, this is only an example of how the tax levy increase and the assessor's evaluation affects the individual tax bills. So the estimated impact to taxpayers for the extension is dependent on the EAV for each taxpayer's property and the overall EAV in the district's 94 boundaries and the tax rate. So this is just a few examples of how the levy may affect those taxpayers. And so if your value of, let's say, $350,000, an estimated increase of the taxpayers would be about $67. So this is a calculation page that we work with every year that helps us to calculate out the tax levy. Again, you can see that 4.56%, and then you can see the individual funds of how we break that out. And so again, like I mentioned, like Social Security, I'm keeping that flat because our fund balance in Social Security is high. So trying to keep that flat to make sure that we're only requesting the amount of funds that we actually need. The timetable that we're going to follow for the approval and submission, obviously we're presenting the tentative 2025 tax levy tonight. We'll have time for questions at the November 18th meeting, the December 12th, December 2nd meeting, and then I'll ask the board to approve the 2025 tax levy at the December 16th meeting, and I'll deliver the extension to the DuPage County by the last Tuesday of the month. Any questions?
All right then, thank you for an exciting presentation on the tax levy. All right, how about an exciting presentation on 2026 summer construction?
All right. Summer construction. Okay, as the board is aware, administration has scheduled $2 million for capital projects next summer. We are planning on doing the roof work on the 1926 section for the amount of $416,050, which I'll discuss later after this presentation, after this memo. So the other potential projects included the renovations of the south parking lot and a facelift to our Y-Rock auditorium. After further review to ensure the auditorium gets the proper facelift that it needs, we're planning on putting on hold the south parking lot until the summer of 2027. We've checked with construction managers, architects. The parking lot can wait another year. This leaves $1,583,950 for the renovation of the auditorium, which will include construction management fees as well as architect fees. So the facelift to the auditorium is expected to include new paint, new chairs, new carpet, repairs to the concrete floor, and new curtains, along with a few other cosmetic repairs. Allied Facility Partners will be leading the auditorium project. We'll provide a similar contract similar to the 2025 summer project that we had. This contract will be presented to the board at the November meeting. Additionally, DLA architects will also provide a contract for their services for this project, which will also be presented at the November board meeting. Today. Oh yeah, I'm going to keep going.
Keep going.
Summer construction. So Olson Roofing. So as part of the approved summer construction projects, administration requested a quote from Olson Roofing. So the contractor that has completed multiple roofing projects for the district over the past few years. According to the DLA facility plan, 2 roof sections were identified for potential replacement this upcoming summer. So that's the upper roof, as you can tell from the pictures that were provided in the memo, which is over the top of the 1926 section. There's also a very small section between the new transition apartment, step apartment, and the field house that just needs to be repaired as well. And so this would be a cost of $256,715, which would be for an overlay, which would have a 20-year warranty attached to it. And then additionally, the middle roof of that 1926 section would be a cost of $159,300 for an overlay again, which again has a 20-year warranty. That lower roof that is noted on that picture has an estimated cost of $395,000. We're going to wait for the 2027 summer to take care of that roof. It's much more of an extensive project. It's going to have to be a tear off because of the gypsum that's underneath the current roofing product. And so Olson Roofing inspected the roofs, and then for the upper and middle roofs, they proposed a layover installation, like I mentioned, with that 20-year warranty. That does save the district significant costs. So Olson submitted that proposal under a TIPS purchasing cooperative contract, which we've used in the past. DLA has reviewed that contract, and that does seem to be reasonable. Additionally, the administration also plans to submit for the Illinois School Maintenance Grant, which I plan to submit for this project. We've submitted for this grant in the past. It is a $50,000 matching grant, and so that grant will also have to be approved by the Board of Education. So no recommendations at this time on that, but come at the November board meeting, I'll bring the Olson Roofing contracts in front of the board, along with the Allied Facility Partner contract, along with the DLA contract. Any questions on summer construction?
What's the difference between an overlay and the tear down or tear off?
The overlay is they're going straight over top of what's currently there. Obviously, a tear off is they're tearing off the whole thing.
So what, they're overlaying with asphalt or sheet
No,
plastic, whatever?
it's a rubber insulation.
Okay. And then they put something down to hold it down in place and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And then how long, and that'll last 20 years?
Correct.
And then when that's 20 years is done, we have to do a tear down or another overlay? I mean, what's the plan moving forward on sort of step by step?
Typically only do one overlay.
Yeah.
So in 20 years, when the warranty's up, we'd have to tear it all off and go down to
Tear it
the
all off.
decking. Yeah.
So this is sort of a buying time kind of repair?
It's kind of typical, really, to overlay a roof and then the next time you tear off. Yeah, yeah.
If we tore it off, we'd still get a 20-year warranty on a new roof,
Mm-hmm.
but the cost would be almost double.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions about construction? All right, Quest Food Management Extension.
The Quest Food Management has provided student meals to West Chicago for more than 10 years. With the changes made to the program over the past few years, which included free breakfast for all, which also includes an additional kiosk, increased free meal participation, and free meals served over Thanksgiving and winter and spring breaks. I asked management from Quest to take a closer look at the program to see if there's opportunities to adjust the contract starting in 26-27. So in the past, the district has paid a management fee as well as a per meal cost when a free meal cap was surpassed, along with an additional cost for the free meals served over break. So Quest Management has proposed a new cost structure starting in the 26-27 school year with an expected 3-year contract. This new structure includes no management fee paid from D94 to Quest. Additionally, Quest will provide free meals at no cost to the district up to 16,457 breakfasts and 68,494 lunches. The meal caps are increased from the 24-25 school year, which were 15,915 for breakfast and 67,658 for lunch. So if the meal caps are exceeded, the district would then be obligated to pay $1.85 for breakfast and $2.65 for lunch. Then lastly, we would serve the meal packs to students and to families for Thanksgiving, winter, and spring breaks at a cost of $3.50 for breakfast and $5 for lunch. So I included a table on this memo as well. And so you can see from the 24-25 total costs for the 24-25 meal program was just over $90,000. For 26-27, the proposed structure is basically just the $34,554 based on 8,128 meals for the meals over breaks. Again, unless we exceed the caps that are noted in the contract. But otherwise, the total cost to the district is just under $35,000.
Sounds like a significant deal you
I
got
know,
there.
this seems almost too good to be true. Who did this and how? Dan, thank you. Seriously, this is huge.
Yeah, it took a lot of work talking with the management at Quest and talking through options and trying to figure out how to move the needle a little bit. But
Yeah.
they're a good partner to work with, and they didn't want to even go down the path of losing us as a client.
Yeah, yeah. Well, how amazing to find a corporation that's apparently looking at the people. Yeah, the people they serve. So thank you for putting in that extra effort. Thank you.
Of course.
Definitely appreciated.
Yeah. And thank you for looking at it that way as well.
Value of developing relationships with your vendors.
Yeah.
This is all district money now, not reimbursed state or federal, is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we're not getting any reimbursement from anywhere.
Dan was also able to secure meal packs this Friday for our students to take home. So there'll be 4 lunches, 4 breakfasts distributed Friday after school.
Correct.
So
We'll have more communication going out about that. We're still kind of in the planning phase, but we should have communication going out sometime tomorrow regarding that.
Thank you.
What does that look like?
The meal packs? So these are frozen meals of, put together, again, 4 breakfasts in a pack and 4 lunches in a pack, which, I mean, they're all going to provide, I guess, what are you, like, if it's,
But like, do they pick it up at the end of the day?
oh, so
How do they
they're
transport
going
it
to,
home?
so we're going to provide those packs to the students as they're leaving Friday afternoon.
And we'll be able to kind of tally or capture some data on how many meals were taken and,
Yeah, well, we're planning on making 150 meals, meal packs. We've been averaging around 110, 120 when we were doing the last year with Thanksgiving and winter and spring. And so if we only hand out 120 or 130, whatever's left over will be saved for Thanksgiving, which is only a couple weeks away.
that's
How
awesome.
do they know that it's available?
We'll have that communication going out sometime tomorrow.
To all students?
Correct.
Okay.
And families. We're going to send that out to families.
Given the amount of food insecurity happening right now and the impact of a lot of families not being able to access food pantries because of the safety and security threats, this is huge. So yeah, definitely thank you so much for being proactive instead of reactive. We really got ahead of this.
School is out next week?
This is just with the expiration of the SNAP benefits. We need to make sure that our kids are being fed over the weekend.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Kurt. Thank you.
Very thoughtful, very thoughtful.
Have we heard anything from the state as far as them funding SNAP in Illinois? I know Pritzker said the other day he was tapping them.
So Tony Sanders just sent out an email this evening at about 5:30. I briefly skimmed through it, and there was no mention of additional funds coming our way yet.
All right, thank you for that update. And finally, Board of Education meeting minutes discussion. This was put on the agenda by request. This is an opportunity for board members to ask questions or raise concerns about the level of detail being shown in the written minutes that we have for our meetings.
I think I brought this up. I had seen minutes from another board meeting from another district, and I was struck. It seemed like there were more details, more information communicated in their written minutes than we tend to. And I just wanted to feel out the rest of the board whether they think that we do a good enough job in capturing the minutes that we do. I don't think we have any information when we get a student representative report, what's in there. Some instances where questions are asked about information on the agenda of administration and they answer, and those don't seem to fall into the agenda or the minutes. My feeling is if it's worth asking and answering, that somehow it should be reflected in the minutes.
What were the kind of things that were shown in these other minutes that you reviewed? That we,
More information, more discussion, who was discussing and what the
a board member asked
discussions
a
were.
question during a meeting, or
Board member asked a question, or there was some discussion on agenda items and things like that.
thoughts from people?
I've seen multiple levels of minutes, I guess is a way to put it, where you just get the basics, or you get like a whole plethora of information, basically recounting everything everybody said. But our meetings are also recorded on video. Anybody can find them on YouTube if they want more detailed information. I mean, I'm kind of okay with the way they are. It is kind of a bit to get used to with less, but in the long run, I think it's okay.
I guess not everyone has access to the computer and the recordings and things. I've also found it easier to pick up a set of minutes and find something I was looking for than to open up streaming video and trying to find that particular set of information. I guess I just think in terms of somebody that wanted to review or get some information that was archived. I'm a paper person. It's easier for me to find something written than to, go through the process of getting on a website and finding a particular meeting and then, getting that all scanned through.
I found myself going back through minutes looking for discussion. Years ago, we went to a very, very scaled down version of minutes as opposed to having a little what the discussion was, but it is helpful occasionally to be able to say, oh yeah, this was asked and this is what the response was.
Is it more the questions and the discussion? Because our content is pretty deep as far as memos. Most districts don't attach memos, so the content is there. It's just the actual conversation is what we're missing. Is that what you're looking for?
I think the memos are good because that tells what's going on, but then it's the additional information and conversations, questions and answers that we don't have to refer to.
That's what I would be looking for, and it is more of what the discussion or specific questions were. Because the memos are great, but there may be something that kind of generated from that, and it's a topic that comes up at some point later on, and you go, I know we talked about it, where was it, and what was the specifics of that conversation? So just having a little bit more filled out there.
It does say in here in this Robert's Rules things that if the report is of great importance, the Assembly should order it to be entered on the minutes, in which case the Secretary copies it in full upon the record. That is something we could think about, and maybe as we're having conversations that we feel we want to make sure that they're in the minutes, we could just say that, and then we would be assured that would be taken down.
That may get a little cumbersome. I remember a couple of meetings ago, I'd asked Kerry a question, and he answered it. It wasn't in the minutes, and then a meeting or two later, I mentioned something. He said, I don't remember what you asked me, and I don't remember what the answer was, but it would have been good to have that exchange in the minutes. And that doesn't have to be verbatim, but it should have some of that back and forth information documented and archived and retraceable.
I think it would make it a little easier on you also, Kurt, because you brought up a couple times that something had been discussed and you had responded at the meeting and then a question came up. And it is hard to take in all of that information that we get, but to have it back there, you could go back and look at it.
If our board were to make the request that more of this meat would be attached to our minutes, what kind of direction would we give to differentiate, give us more of these kind of details you're talking about versus give us a complete verbatim everything that everybody said? Because I think that would be going too far the other direction. So how would we define what it is that we'd be looking for?
I guess we'd have to start from one direction and move towards the other, and if we find we're getting into too much detail, then we back off a little bit. But if you go back 10 years and look at minutes, they're a little more comprehensive. I think at one point we may have gotten into the verbatim, and we pulled back a little bit. But I think things, for example, interchanges between administration and board members, or board member and board member, should somewhat be documented, not verbatim, but in intent.
I'm just going to say this too, that kind of puts a responsibility on somebody to kind of know what the intent was. Some of this can make it kind of subjective when you're the one that's narrowing down what people said, and
It's an art.
yeah.
Tammy, any thoughts on this front?
I guess I just want to know kind of the goal of, I understand Rich's example, but at the same time, I just don't know what the goal or what the streaming it. I feel like it's been enough, everything that I've seen captured. What we've been doing has been fine.
Kurt, you looked at other minutes from other school boards. What's your take on how they compare with what we're capturing?
So I looked at 8 different districts and just pulled the September regular meeting from 8 different districts. The formats of the agenda obviously look a little different. The content is very similar. There are some that have so-and-so asked, so-and-so answered. There's one example of that in here. We're right in the middle. We're right in the middle. Some have less, some have a little more. So really, it's whatever the board wants to do. To Bob's point, I just want to have clear direction as to what you're looking for. We'll do whatever you want. I mean, so if you think this is enough, I personally think this is fine, but you guys have to make that decision. If you want more, just please be specific as to what you want, so we can make sure we accommodate what you need. So if you're looking for, Rich asked this question, Kathy responded. If you're looking for a full transcript, we might have to get some sort of technology in here to just record it and then to
Take it off of the YouTube.
Like read
or something.
AI notes or
Yeah,
something
I
like
mean,
that,
that's a
because
lot to
I think
ask.
that's a lot to ask Evie to have to do.
That is a lot to ask.
And then how do you differentiate between what's important, what's
Mhm.
not important?
I guess,
I too feel like we've mirrored a lot of the content that I've seen other boards put out.
if a board member asks a question and an administrator or another board member answers, that seems important enough to document without having, verbatim kinds of things.
Maybe if you want.
Get it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask a question. Can you get a transcript off of YouTube from a thing? Is that something difficult to attach to the minutes, not in place of the minutes? Just attach a transcript? And either. I mean, I have AI. I do the AI thing on my Zoom meetings, which is okay and can be kind of funny because it's not always accurate. So some of the things that things you're saying are kind of weird. So I wouldn't recommend that. But a actual transcript of the meeting, and if it's already there on YouTube, maybe it could just be attached to the minutes and it wouldn't create any extra work.
This is a separate document.
Yeah, like right behind the minutes, and people could click on it too, if that would be helpful to look at.
Look into it.
Automatically
I think so.
voice to text kind of stuff.
Yeah, like a voice to text.
I mean, it does do that. If you watch the meetings on YouTube, you can tell it, show me captions, and it will go through. Now, it's computer generated, so it's not necessarily going to be 100% accurate, but you can watch the captions as people make their.
Yeah, and then they would have a
their statements.
transcript of that afterwards that you could just download or something. I don't really know, but maybe that's an option that would make less work for.
The only issue, provided that everyone speaks into the microphone, because there are some meetings to where people are leaning away and you can't hear the questions that are being asked, so
Oh.
therefore it's not being detected.
So I guess, Kurt, I want to, and if I miss this, I completely apologize. What is the purpose or goal? I mean, like, what are we feeling that we're missing, or what is the goal and the purpose of doing this? And if there was something that was previously done, why did that change to what we currently have, and what was the value in doing it, capturing, I guess, more?
I think the value of what we did previously was more information available as minutes to board members, new board members that may want to refer something back that happened before they were on the board, community members that may want to get more information or follow up on something that happened previously. Why that went from more robust to less, I think, was just change in administration and things, and we were trying to streamline stuff, but at the same time we were losing that information. The purpose from my standpoint is to have more documentation on what's done at the board meeting other than basically following the agenda. Because in some cases our minutes are basically, we just sort of went down the agenda and did this.
Maybe.
Other minutes I've seen had more information, questions asked, answers done, things like that, besides just, you know, this the vote was put up, and this is who voted yes or no, and things like that. There was more information exchanged.
There are times where something comes up, or I think of something after a meeting and think, oh, well, we talked about that, the question was asked, and I go back to look at the minutes to find the answer, and if it's not as it is, it's often very difficult to find. And I don't want to sit through the whole YouTube meeting and watch it over again. It's maybe just one keyword that'll, oh yeah, this is what the answer was. I don't have to call Kurt, or it just makes it easier to update and recall things.
Maybe if we want to try exploring how easy would it be to pull a transcript electronically off of the video and have that available as one option, because if that works, then that would certainly be something searchable. And as another step, if we wanted to, like, okay, set the bar, okay, how much needs to be recorded? Maybe if we take a step and say, okay, if anything is brought up that, say, a board member asks something that requires some kind of follow-up later, that would probably be something, let's make sure that gets noted, and then see if that puts enough additional meat on the bones.
I have to start.
I'm just looking for, okay, what's a step we can take that might move towards a resolution of what we're looking for?
Well, again, I think any questions and answers exchanges should be documented, at least not necessarily verbatim, but generally. I know, you know, we have the student representatives give their reports, they read. That could be included in our minutes. Right now, you know, we listen to it, and if I want to go back and say, oh, I wonder, you know, what happened last month, I'd have to go back to the YouTube, and, you know, I really don't want to have to do that. But, you know, if the student representatives are reading something, they could hand that into Evie, and we could include that in minutes and things. I mean, there are a lot of stuff, a lot of discussions that are valuable that go on that then, other than being live streamed, get lost.
In a most recent meeting, Carrie was asked about exit interviews, and the response was that, yes, they are done. Something like that, to be able to go back and say, oh yeah, we do exit interviews. Tonight, Dan was just asked about the guarantees on a teared off roof versus whatever it's called that we're doing. And the comment that, yes, the guarantee is the same, so we wouldn't be saving money. I mean, that's something that's beneficial to have thrown in there, a specific question and the answer, because, say, a community member comes up and why didn't you do this? You're wasting money. No, it was verified. We've got it. Or what was the topic about? What was the response? So having responses that add to the report we get initially, I think would be valuable.
Is that a reasonable amount of workflow to be added to put into preparing the minutes out of a given meeting?
I don't know that the students prepare their presentations to be shared in a written format. That would, to me, increase their workload. Like, they write notes for themselves, but.
We have them type something out, and then they meet with Dr. Poyo ahead of time.
Oh, okay.
We don't include it in the agenda because we want to give them the weekend
Right.
to gather their thoughts. But it typically is, they read off of a document that they prepared.
I think that's valuable to have as part of our meeting minutes. I mean, they're going quite a bit of work, and they've got valuable information.
What level of presentation in the minutes would you think would be appropriate for the discussion we're having now? Because there's been a lot of back and forth and different ideas and everything, so what level of detail, without going full verbatim, do you think would be appropriate for this discussion?
Start by trying to capture the questions and who's asking questions.
Questions and answers.
Well, and answers to the best of our ability.
And it doesn't need to be, again, verbatim, but, you know, the minute could say, so-and-so made a comment about this. Someone responded with a different comment. We'd have to see.
This conversation is a great example. This has been going on for 10 minutes. Good conversation. How could Evie best capture this conversation? Hard.
Right,
It's
I don't
gonna
know.
be-
I
it's
just
gonna
don't see
require
the-
some thought.
I don't see the value, and I just feel like we're not providing enough clarity in order to really understand like what we're asking you to do. I guess I'm still failing to understand what we're asking you to do.
I guess I might be able to see Rich's point on if there's a very specific thing, like you asked about warranty for the tear-off versus, so that sounds like a very specific asked, answered, easy to summarize. But something like, you know, a more dynamic conversation, that seems to be a lot more difficult to, how do you boil that down to something that's not a verbatim transcript?
I guess if I had to capture this, I would say there was a conversation amongst board members about improving the detail of our conversations for minutes.
And you wouldn't feel the need to go into, these were some of the points brought up, and these were, you wouldn't feel the need to go into that level.
See, I would
Maybe-
say changing, not improving, because improving makes it subjective.
Good point.
I guess
Just to be
Or-
devil's advocate.
board member Nagel and Doremus were feeling like we could have better details, board member,
A little bit more breadth to the meeting. Personally, I think question and answer specifically. We don't need, you know, every single opinion on it, but a question was answered specifically. Here was the response, is what I would be looking for.
In a summary form, not necessarily the full detail
Right,
of the question, the
exactly.
full detail of the response, but just a summary to give you the gist of what it
Question
was.
was asked about the warranties, comparison of the warranties or the guarantees, and this was the response. They're the same. End of story. Simple.
We'll start there, and then we'll ease into this. You say a little more, a little less, and then we'll kind of adjust as you guys need.
So why don't we go a couple meetings and then put this on the agenda, say maybe January, how are we looking? Are we getting in the right direction? Are we still, you know, not giving enough detail?
and I guess we always have the option. Something we feel is gonna be made a comment, say something like, let the record show I'm asking this specific question and waiting for an answer or something.
That's a very formal way of doing it.
Just wondering, anything to say about all this?
I've been glancing in her direction occasionally just to see.
If it makes you feel any better, in my beginning of the board secretary took shorthand and filled up almost the whole notebook and put everything verbatim.
Deanne?
Yep, Deanne
And-
Simpson. Tammy, remember?
I don't want to remember that.
But amazing. But it was very detailed.
That sounds
I
like,
don't think that's what we are looking for, but more like, okay, what did you talk about? Not the whole dialogue, not all the little nuances and opinions, but the facts that apply to the topic we talked about.
that sounds like some boards that could go in the direction of some boards that take a first and second reading of policy literally and will literally read the entire policy verbatim 2 times into the record. Yeah, I've been there, done that before, and it makes for some long meetings. All right, I guess let the record show that there seems to be a consensus to start moving in this direction.
With questions and answers.
Questions and answers or anything else specifically highlighted, and we'll see what the board feels, how this is working. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yes.
All right then, that takes care of our open session business for today. We will be going to closed session. There'll be no action taken after closed session. The recommended motion, the Board of Education hold a closed session at 7:55 PM for purposes of collective negotiating matters.
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Casey Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Ms. Chavez?
All right, motion carries.
Ms. Murphy?
Aye.
Sorry about that.
We reached the majority part, and he was done.
Motion carries. We're going into executive session. Let's take 5.
All right.